welcome to Pilates class A. It's going to be a bit of a hot one tonight, and I'm going to see if I can just make this a little bit shorter this evening. So let's get going without further ado. So let's take the legs nice and wide, insteps parallel, and reaching up to try and touch the ceiling. Lifting the rib cage off of the hips. And then holding both arms up, making sure that weight is pitched slightly forwards onto the balls of your feet, and then allow the arms to lower your eye line, and then we're just going to take some nice relaxed big swings. So staying fairly upright to start with. I'm just going to go slightly onto the corner. So just getting the ankles, knees warming up, letting those arms swing a little bit. As you start to feel a little bit more comfortable with this, if you want to, let your head hang, go all the way down, or you could just continue to stay a bit more upright. Absolutely fine, no problem at all. Let's add on to this a big double arm circle. In fact, let's do 2 of them, all the way up, round and back. If that's too much for you, just take some elbow circles. Just anything to just get the upper body opened out. So we're swinging down, continue the movement up and back. Knees going over the toes. Let's take one more. Certainly don't need it to get myself warm today. It's gone all of a sudden very hot. Fantastic. Let's look at standing on one leg. Doesn't matter which, I want this warm up to be, we're going to be quite quick with the warm up today, not too precise, but just getting everything moving. So standing on one leg, circling the other foot at the ankle and both hands around at the wrist. And checking, my top's a little bit baggy today, but I just had to check myself that that hip wasn't too lifted up. Changing direction. This front leg could be bent. I've bent it there, that feels a little bit more comfortable, or it can stay nice and straight. Doesn't matter, just as long as you keep the legs still. Let's swap sides. So standing leg fairly straight, moving leg or moving foot, that leg can be slightly bent, twiddling all the way around, twiddling toes, fingers, take some itsy bitsy spiders, and have a little, just going to do some slow pony trots. So going through the feet, rising up, lowering through the heel. As I said, not being too particular for the moment, just trying to get everything warmed up. Sometimes it's a little bit deceiving when it's hot, because you think your body's actually quite really warm, but we still need to stretch certain areas and get certain areas mobilised. Ankles and toes, hands, all included in that sort of thing. So let's move on to the upper body. I'm going to stay with the legs wide, insteps parallel, and we're sweeping through and opening out. So a sort of a low level, if you want to. At the moment I'm keeping my arms quite low, and I'm taking like a figure of 8. So I sometimes call these butterfly sweeps. You could have the arms higher, level with the hands level with the shoulders. So you're there. Basically we're trying to shift the rib cage forwards and backwards. Feels quite nice when the arms are low to really move that shoulder joint in and out on both sides. And I'm actually, when my hands are low, my arms are low, I'm staying with my legs bent pretty much all the time. When I've got my hands higher, try both, see what you feel, what feels nice for you today. When I've got my hands here, level with my shoulders, I want to bend my knees as I bring my arms forwards, and then I want to straighten my legs and lift the chest. So as always, a slightly bigger movement when you've got your arms up higher. Let's take some chest and back lift. So lifting the chest, looking up to the ceiling, sticking the bottom out, finding that support on your legs. Fingers are in, elbows are out to the side, and then you're unravelling all the way down, and then you're lifting your upper back, unravelling all the way up to the top. Lift the chest, arch the back, relax all the way down, tucking under, lift, arch the back, relax, and roll up. 2 more of those. So chest and back lift, mobilising the spine, really thinking about this pelvic tilt, which we did on the butterfly sweeps, and we're doing again, especially to come up. We're going to use that position quite a bit on the floor. So I went the wrong way down then. Lift the chest, arch the back, tuck that pelvis under, strongly pull your belly button in. If you haven't already had your tea, you're going to be really hungry by the end of this class. Great, let's take some elbow lead side bends. So, feet are shoulder width apart and quite nice and parallel, and we're just reaching down the side seam of your leggings or your trousers if you had one there. Imagine that side seam down the middle of the side of your leg. Nice and gently, so we've already lifted the rib cage off of the hips. From the waist downwards is staying completely still. And then we're going to go over to one side and just mirror me. Lift the elbow, let the hand just hang, and then straighten that arm up to the ceiling and then come upright. Over to the other side. So you've sort of cleared this shoulder so that that elbow can come up nice and high. Although this is my tighter side, it's a little bit more uncomfortable on this side. And then straightening that arm all the way up to the ceiling in a beautiful straight line, and then coming up. Coming upright with your body, thinking about working and stretching the side seam of your torso. Over to the side. Elbow comes up. It's a straight line directly up to the ceiling, and then all the way to do is add that arm stretching over, which you should notice makes that stretch quite a little bit stronger. Really sideways, so no dropping forwards with this shoulder. Stay sideways, and then coming up over to the other side. Clear the shoulder, then you can lift the elbow, then there's a straight arm. And now if you notice the shape and the side of my body, that arm just continues that nice curve all the way around, and it feels lovely. And then you're coming up and relaxing. Good, and one more, over to the side, elbow straight on, stretch the arm over, so you're creating that lovely curve. Now create even more of a curve by pushing your hips over sideways, which means that upper body might go a little bit lower. Brilliant. From there you're going to bend the knees, relax and hang your head and your arms in the middle. Oh my gosh, I'm sweating already. So we're down here. So let's have a straightening of the legs and a bending of the knees. 2 or 3 times. Stretching the hamstrings, warming up the backs of the legs. Doesn't matter if your hands are nowhere near to the floor, but try and straighten the legs as best you can, soften the knees. And then let's roll up in the middle. Let's do that to the other side. Over to the side, elbow, straight arm, stretch the arm across, the arm only. Then push the hips away, which means you'll go more sideways and then rolling down. This time we're going to stay down there, you're going to straighten both legs. Bend one knee, keep one leg straight, and then swap to the other side. And swap. I think I'm going to sneeze. Oh no, I'm not. So I call this seesaw hips. If you've not done this before, have a look at my hips. They drop from side to side. And then we're going to lead. We're going to come back up, leading with our elbow again. So this is a side bend with an elbow lead to roll down, and then an elbow lead to roll up. So I've straightened one leg, I've got the other leg bent. The straight leg side, I'm going to lift that elbow, that same side elbow, up to the ceiling, and I'm going to turn my head to follow it. It should be relatively comfortable in your shoulders. So your shoulders are basically matching the angle of your hips. You straighten that arm, reaching up towards the ceiling, and then you just unravel yourself as that arm lifts up like Pooh Bear. I nearly said Paddington Bear then. And let's take a roll down. So do that one more time. All the way down, soften the knees. Straighten the other leg, bending one leg. The leg that's straight, take that same side, elbow up to the ceiling. Turn your head and look at it. Open up your shoulders. Shoulders and hips are at the same jaunty angle, which makes it quite comfortable. Extend the arm like you're trying to touch the ceiling, and then just let that hand continue to reach up towards the ceiling, and miraculously you square up. Because this is so lovely, we're going to do one more time each side, the whole thing. So over to the side, lift the elbow, straight arm up. This arm is the one that you're going to lead up with when we've got to the last part of it. So straight arm, stretch the arm across, reach over with your hips as well, get a lovely stretch on the side seam, bend your legs, relax in the middle. Straighten straighten the leg that you had that arm up just now, and then you're taking that elbow up to the ceiling, extending the arm, and then that arm is pulling you up to unravel. Great, one more on the other side. Using the other arm, lift the elbow, take the arm straight up to the ceiling, stretch across, then push those hips across and breathe and keep moving. Relax all the way down to the centre. Straighten the other leg. We're all on the other side now. Lift the elbow, rotate the shoulders, look up to the ceiling, and then reach up and simply unravel. And then you're coming back to upright. Well done. Elbow leads, side bends with roll ups. Let's keep the legs quite wide, and let's just take, I'm going to come forward a little bit, some nice rotations. Relaxed rotations. Keep the head facing forwards. So ankles, hips, shoulders, all rotating around your spine. Your head is staying central, staying looking forwards. Arms are really relaxed. And then you add looking behind you. If you've got something to look at, great. Check that one side will be a little bit tighter than the other. Keep going if you can. I've just come back to the front. I've got nothing to look at. So if you can see stuff behind you, it's good to look and take notice of which is your tighter side, and then maybe give it a little bit more oomph on that tighter side. Relax a little bit to the not so tight side, just to help balance things up. So that's our lovely rotation. Okay, we're going to take some narrow hip hinges to start with. We're going to take some squats. We're going to start with narrow squats, go wider squats into some ballet plies. And we're going to play about with the timing of these. So feet hip width apart, hinging at the hip to start with. So we're standing up as tall as possible. Send the bottom back. I tend to push my fingertips into that crease that happens at the tops of your thighs, so that I'm highlighting my awareness of this being the only place that's changing, the only place that's moving. You could put one hand in front of on your tummy, one hand in your lower back. Check out that again, nothing changes. You could put a hand at the nape of the neck. That's quite a good one to do. We tend to lift the chin. And if you lift the chin, in fact do that for me, put the hand there, between the neck, the hairline, sorry, the top of your t-shirt, or that knobbly bit in your cervical spine, and then pitch forwards. If you keep your head in the same position as when you were standing, you shouldn't feel any change. If you lift your chin, you're going to feel like you're squashing your fingers together, just slightly, it's not horrendous. If you let your head drop, you're going to feel like you've lost the contact between your hairline and the top of your t-shirt. So yeah, it needs to stay absolutely the same. Knees are slightly soft. Let's hold it there. I'm going a little bit too low actually. You just want to be about 30 degrees forwards. you should be able to tap the whole of the front of your feet quite happily. Knees are soft, no stress in my body. I'm switched on here, I'm in the correct position, nothing has changed. Brilliant, and then come upright. Great, let's just move that on, add on some narrow squats. So you're going to take the hip hinge first. You're going to bend your knees much more this time. Knees are going over the toes. Just got a little bit of fluff between my toes. Arms are coming forwards, the shoulders are down, and then you're coming up. Again, it's mainly this hinge from the hips. We're going to change the timing of this. We're going to go down for 3 and up for 1. So we've got 3, 2, 1, and come up nice and fast. 3, 2, 1, push down through those heels to come up. 3, 2, 1, push down. One more in this direction. 1 and push up. Change it around. Down in 1, up for 3. Down 1. Hold it a moment and then push up for 3, 2, 1. Come up in stages. Hold. Notice where you're starting to feel some muscle work. 2 more. Down. And 3, 2, 1. Hopefully, feeling as you start to come up that you're pushing down through your heels and you're activating those buttock muscles. You might not be yet, but hopefully that's what we're aiming for. Let's go wider with the feet. So just outside your shoulder width apart, 2 minutes to, 2 minutes past on the hour with the angle of your legs so slightly turned down. We've still got our hip hinge, that's still happening. Knees are over the toes. Let's just take some plain, wide squats. So pretty much the angle of my back is the same, but I'm trying to drop my hips down more. I'm trying to get lower in my hips. So what I mean by that is I'm not leaving my hips up and I'm pitching forwards more in the upper back. I'm keeping my back almost at the same angle we were when we were just doing the hip hinge. Knees are going over the toes. As I push up, I'm making sure I push down through my heels. Let's do that timing, 4 of each. So we're coming down for 3, 2, 1, and push. And 3, 2, 1, and push. Drive down through those heels. 3, 2, 1, push. And 3, 2, 1, and push. Now reversing the direction. Down in 1. Hold it there. Pushing down 3, 2, 1 to stand. Or down in 1 and push. 2, 3. 2 more sets down and push. So now as soon as I start to come up, I can feel those buttocks firing up to help me lift up. That was our 4 there. Great, we're going to turn the legs out all the way. In the hip socket, so legs are wider, heels are wider than your shoulders. The spine stays upright now. It's a very different feeling. Might need to just pull your leggings up a bit first. So this is our Ballet Plie. So let's just get those muscles warmed up a little bit. It's always a little bit ooh-ah the first couple, especially if you haven't ever done any ballet before. But actually I'm a little bit sore from teaching last night. So it's sort of the opposite, but feels quite nice. It's a strong stretch in the groin. If this really isn't available to you because of the shape of your hips, because your knees hurts your knees, just really watch your alignment, but you can go more sort of to the corners, let's say 5 past and 5 to the hour, and you can take a bit more of a hip hinge and send your bottom back. But whatever you do, whether you're completely turned out in the hips and the spine stays upright, or whether you're going to take that slight hip hinge, absolutely your knees must go over your toes. And not just over your toes, the centre of your knee needs to be between your second and third toe. That's the perfect alignment that we want. We're also looking for good symmetry. So this is why I face forward so that I can see myself in my monitor and I know that I'm bending both legs equally. I'm not pulling away from one side or the other. Okay, here we go. Enough chat, Mandy. So we're going to go down for 3, 2, 1 and straighten in 1. 3, 2, 1 and straighten. I'm trying to do the arms as well, but that's not really happening. 3, 2, 1 and straighten. 3, 2. I'm just putting the backs of my hands together, but you don't even need to take the arms, add the arms if you don't want to. Let's reverse that. Down in 1 and 3, 2, 1 to come up. Down in 1, 3, 2, 1. 2 more. Hold. Pin those knees back. Push down through the heels. Last one. Wonderful. Okay. Exploring the difference in the leg position, but we're going to keep the spine nice and upright. So from here, I'm just going to bring my toes in, so my feet are now nice and parallel. I'm going to keep my spine in its natural curves and take a hinge forward, so stretching the backs of my legs. It's a strong old stretch. I'm going to go slightly on the diagonal for this one. So you can see the shape of my back hasn't changed again. Try that neck, your hand on the back of your neck again. It's very telling, and a lot of us, when we do this one, we either leave the chin looking forwards, and I know you're probably trying to look at the screen, but try not to. Keep the chin tucked in, or we let the head hang, we let the whole of the shoulders round. Keep that back of your neck in exactly the same position, and then you're coming up. So pitching all the way forwards and coming back up again. Great, so we're going to combine those two when the car has arrived on the drive. That's it, good job, okay. So we're parallel now, we're hinging forwards from the hips, spine is staying absolutely the same, it's a stretch on your hamstrings, and then we're coming up. We're going to turn the legs out in the hip socket, back to our ballet turnout, pushing those heels forwards. The spine still stays upright, but now the knees are going over the toes, and then you're coming upright. Let's do a couple here. Knees over the toes. So hopefully these legs in this position should be a bit more nicely warmed up now. Parallel. Let's do one of each. Hinge from your hips, come upright. Turn the leg out in the hip socket. You're bending the knees. Knees are over the toes and straighten. 2 more sets. Forwards, keep the neck long, come upright, turning out. Knees over the toes, come upright, parallel. And let's make this last ballet plie of the day so far. Knees over the toes and come upright. Fantastic. Okay. Let's take some lunges, alternating backwards lunges. Tough exercise. I'm just going to move my mat so I'm a little bit more on a diagonal. I'm going to come to the front of my mat because I want to step backwards. We're going to alternate. So from the feet sort of hip width apart, pop your hands on your hips. Yeah, let's start with popping your hands on your hips. Taking one leg back all the way, see if you can brush that knee to the floor. We're aiming for 2 90-degree angles, push forwards and swap over. Nice smooth action. If you're okay with that, try not to rest that knee down as I did just then. Fingertips to temples to keep the chest nice and upright. Take a long stretch back. If this really doesn't suit you and it hurts your knees or whatever, stick with a static lunge. So if you're doing the alternating, keep going if you can. Otherwise, here's your alternative with a bit of support. Could be the back of a chair, kitchen worktop, doesn't matter. Just stay on the same side. Take the leg that's closest to the wall back, and then you're here, bending and fully straightening every time. Yes, you don't have to go all the way down, but you do need to bend both knees equally. When you swap to the other side, You take the leg back, so the inside, the leg closest to the wall is the back leg, and you're here. No distortion with whatever's going on with that hand. It really should just be just there for a little bit of support. So that's your alternative. Brilliant. If you are still going, I doubt it very much. This is the beauty of online classes when I can't see you. But you're in the comfort of your own home. So I'm going to make you do some more with me now. So let's add on a few more of those. In fact, let's do 4, and then we're going to stop on that 4th one. So fingertips to temples. So stepping back, and 2, and 3. One more. Hold that back. We're holding here. You're going to clasp your hands. We're going to take a figure of 8 action. So you're drawing down and round at the side of your body. It's like a canoeing movement. Keeping those hips still. I've got a pesky fly in the room. Ooh, don't like flies. And then change direction if you can. Up and under, up and under, up and under. Whoops, quite strong on the balance. But what I like about this, A, you're getting a nice hip flexor stretch. B, you're strengthening in your legs. C, you're rotating your upper body whilst keeping the legs nice and stable, because you have to, otherwise you fall over. Great, okay, we're going to pitch forwards onto this front leg, if you can. Arms are up by the ears, so still arms clasped. You're going to pitch all the way forwards into a diagonal line. So that leg could be really quite low at the back. My regulars know what's coming up. We are pitching forwards, if you can, into a nice T balance. If you can, and you want to, challenge yourself by taking the arms out to the side. I've got my standing leg straight, but it could be bent. I'm going to challenge myself more. Bring my arms down by my sides. And then back out to the side. And then forwards. I've had to bend my knee there, it just helps. I'm clasping my hands. I'm going to finish this movement off. Oh, I'm trying not to put my foot down. Lifting up with that leg. Standing nice and straight and tall. Whew, and relax. All of that on the other side, hurrah. That fly was all buzzing around. I was trying to do my T-balance. It's quite impressive that I managed to do that. Okay, so let's take 4. Just think about which leg you had in front just now. So you're going to start with the other leg to go when you go back. Let's take 4 and then stop. So fingertips to temples, all the way back. Don't worry if you get this wrong, but just make sure you've got the other leg in front when we stop. 3 and 4. Great, nice and upright with the spine. Legs and feet hip width apart. Here we go. Circling. So a little bit easier is to keep your head facing forwards. Harder is to turn the head and follow your hands. Great, I'm going to reverse the order of my figure of 8. I'm going up and then under, up and under, up and under. The fly's back. Ooh. If anyone's watched Breaking Bad, the fly episode, which we all found really dull, I'm sure, but I can so sympathise. We're there. 2 more. Great, let's have those arms up by your ears. Clasp your hands together. Pitch the weight forwards. You could just stay here, that's absolutely fine. Stay on this diagonal. You're probably going to have bent legs if you're going to stay here. But just be on the diagonal, hips and shoulders square. Otherwise, pitch forwards. See if you can get the body and the leg parallel to the floor, holding it there. taking the arms out to the side, hips and shoulders parallel to the floor. Bring your arms in by your sides. Hold it there. Think about that tissue box of your body out to the side again. Oh! Arms above the head. I'm going to bend my knee. I'm not going to put my foot down this time. Lifting, 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 lifting. Standing beautifully to give the fly a little bit of a swat. Really quite impressed with myself there. Okay, we are going to come down to the floor, I think, and we're going to, we're going to be seated and take some seated C curves when we get down now. So I'm just going to move monitors. Hands underneath the backs of the knees, sitting as upright as possible. So a seated C curve does what it says on the tin. We're seated and we're going to scoop that tummy in and under, rounding the back, creating a C curve from the top of the head all the way round to the sacrum. Really lovely scooped out tummy, and then stay in that position, shoulders over the hips, and then sit tall. And then scoop again. So my main focus here is thinking about where my weight is, and I'm right back on my sacrum here. It feels like my sit bones would be drawing a beam of light along the floor, but when I come upright, it feels like my sit bones are drilling a hole straight down into the floor. That's the difference. I was going to say, I thought that rhymed then, but I don't think it did. I just used the same word twice. Going slightly mad. So ideally this should be nice and comfortable. Great. We're going to pitch forwards. As we come forwards here, I'm going to scoot back a little bit actually. We're going to straighten out the legs, reach up to the ceiling. So again, the spine is in its natural curve. So you're actually trying to touch the ceiling. Flex the feet if you can, and lengthen your spine along your legs. It's a strong stretch at the backs of your legs and your lower back, hamstrings, lower back. If you can't quite reach your feet, not a problem at all. Just go onto your lower legs. Just going to have to do a bit of this. So we're coming from this forward bend stretch. And we're going to roll, imagine someone's got hold of your waistband behind you. You're going to roll up, sit tall, take those arms up to the ceiling, try and almost hinge from your hips as you go forwards, flex the feet and then lengthen again. This time as we come back, as we roll back, pointing the feet, I'm going to bring one knee in with me. So it's like a little pas de cheval in ballet, which is a horse's, you know, when the horses paw the ground, or probably don't paw the ground, but you know what I mean. So we're rounded. You're going to extend that leg at a sort of 45-degree movement, and let's do this a couple of times actually. The arms are sort of taking this circle as well. It's all very elegant. And then as you lower that leg, you're coming up to try and touch the ceiling, and then you're flexing forwards to go all the way forwards, and then rounding the back, tucking under, extending. Do that a couple more times, touch the toes. So my spine is rounded, my tummy is scooped. One more. Leg is at 45 degrees. Beautiful pointed foot. Reach up to the ceiling, flexing the feet, come forwards. Let's do one more of those on each leg. Pointing the feet. Pull back with your waistband. This is scooped. Draw the knee in and extend. Ideally, arms and that leg are pretty much at the same angle. Great. Now you're lifting your back and flexing the feet to roll through. One more on the other side. Singles, single leg, all the way forwards. Good. Two more. Doubles if you can. Round the back. Bring those legs in. So you could just practice from here from this rolling like a ball position, really scoot. You could just practice straightening one leg, straightening the other leg. If you can, both legs are straightening, both arms are up. Really scooting that tummy. This is strong. As those legs lower, you lift up to the ceiling and flex the feet. And I've just opened up my legs a little bit as I take that forward bend. One more of those if you can. Point those toes, scoot the tummy. And here, you're in your balance. Tummy is scoot. It's relatively easy because you're scooting that tummy. So hamstring length shouldn't be an issue. Will just be an issue in the abdominals. Hip flexor strength there as you lower. And last one, rolling all the way down. Wonderful. Okay. We're going to continue to keep that C curve in the spine for a little bit of a tough abdominal section, but I'm just going to make it quite short and sweet tonight. So let's keep the spine rounded. As you lower your middle lower back towards the mat, straighten out your arms, but let your legs just carry on hanging. So you get to this abdominal rocking position. So it's like your lower back is the bottom of a rocking horse, that sort of angle. And from here, you're rocking. And nothing changes. So my tummy is staying scooped, my arms are staying straight, my legs are staying at the same angle. You have to have a little bit of a push initially to get going. I'm not coming all the way up. Sometimes people sit way too high. I'm in that lower back position. This works quite well for my proportions. I've got quite a long body, so I sort of fix my arms. If you've got a really short body, you might need to have and long legs, I don't know, maybe you might need to have your arms bent slightly, but whatever position you're in, everything needs to stay fixed. So for me it's quite nice, I can lock my arms out. This is strong work in those abdominals. Now I'm going to stay in that rounded position, I'm going to hug one knee in. I'm hanging onto that knee for dear life. The shape of my back hasn't changed. I'm using my hanging onto this knee to keep my upper body up, and I've extended the other leg. Let's swap legs. Both feet are at the same height, still hanging onto this leg. My spine is completely rounded, really strongly drawing that belly button in. This shin is parallel to the floor. Let's swap 6 times. Here we go. Swap. And 2. And 3. And 5. And 6. Let's extend the legs, lock out those arms. 6 abdominal rocks. 3, 4, 5, 6. Bringing the knee in. Here we go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more set. In fact, 2 more sets. If you can, we're going to add a twist. Lost count here, 2 more I think. We're going to add a twist to the opposite knee, just with your shoulders to get those obliques going. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more set, here we go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and twist, 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 twist. 2 more. 5, 6, and good job if you did all of that with me. Stretch the arms and legs away. Take a big breath in. Feel like you're on a medieval rack, stretching hands and feet in opposite direction, and then just relax a moment. Well done. Good. Sitting up. My plan of doing a shorter class isn't really working. But hey there, nothing new there. Okay, we're going to take a side bridge. On your elbows and your knee, with the legs bent to start with. So we're here. If you can, line yourself up at the back of your yoga mat if you've got one, so that your heels are in line with your butt, which is in line with this elbow, which is underneath your shoulder. Just allow yourself to collapse down a moment. Really comfortable, but really bad for the shoulder and everything in general, really. And then lifting up, think of a lovely straight line from your pubic bones through the centre of your body, through your nose, out through the crown of your head. That's where we want to be all the time. We're going to straighten the top leg. Yeah, let's straighten the top leg and keep that foot on the side if you can. So staying on this underneath, lift up on this underneath shoulder, we're going to lift the hips up and take the arm up to the ceiling and lower the leg and the hips. We'll lower the hips, but just brush to the floor. And let's lower the arm and then lift up and lower. 3 more. So 5 altogether. Lifting up. This is strong work on this underneath shoulder. You're going to stay there if you can and lift and lower that side leg. Now this can get a little bit necky, so let that head drop down, let the ear drop down towards the mat. Keep the top of your foot and your knee facing forward. So what I mean by that is don't let your hip roll back and don't take any turn out, keep it nice and parallel. About 10 of these. You might be feeling some work in your buttocks on this side. You might be feeling it on the underneath side. Actually, I can feel it on the underneath side today. Whew. That's probably enough to finish off here. We're going to thread the needle through. Hips are staying up. I'm following my hand with my head, coming back to the centre. 2 more of those if you can. Hips stay fairly square. It should be a really nice stretch across your shoulder blades and your upper back. Back to there. Lower the hips down. And coming up. Well done. That was more my underneath leg, I think, than my underneath hip than the top hip. Okay, set yourself up on the other side. Heels in line with hips. Elbow underneath, more underneath your shoulder than you think. And then allow yourself to have a nice little collapse. And then really lift up. So shoulders are stacked, hips are stacked. That stays the same all the way through. Straighten out that top leg. Keep the foot flexed so that you're working on the inside edge of your foot. There's no need to have the sole of your foot flat. That just twists your ankle a little bit too much. And then we're lifting up. Arm goes up, hips come up into a straight line, and then hover. So no collapsing down. Imagine the work that's going on that underneath side all the way through. 2 more. Last one, staying up. That's a little bitty bonus extra one there this time. And then we're lifting and lowering that top leg. Keeping everything in the correct position. Let that ear drop down towards the mat. Lift out of that shoulder. Hips stay stacked. So the underneath leg is working quite hard. Top leg is working hard. Top arm isn't doing much. Looks in the monitor like I'm really rotated forwards, but honestly my shoulders are open in a straight line. I think it's the angle of the camera, that's my excuse anyway. 2 more on that leg. Great, keep that toe just pointed if you can, and thread the needle. Nice breath out or in when you get there. Breathe, make sure you're breathing nice and deeply. Try and keep the hips up. Last one. And up to the top and drop that hip down. Ooh, well done. Good job. That was quite tough. Let's go on to our tummies for last little bit of prone work. I'm actually doing quite well on the timing. I'm quite impressed with myself. So you need enough space, if you can, to have your arms out to the side. So we're going to lie down on our tummies, but arms out to the side after a little bit. So coming down onto your tummies, Connect rib cage to hips, lift the hips up, lift the legs out of the hips. Just get everything in the correct position. So legs hip width apart, slightly turned out or parallel, arms down by your side. Allow your shoulders to collapse, allow the tip of your nose to just hover off of the mat. So shoulders are completely collapsed. See if you can get the front of both shoulders to actually touch the mat. It requires a little bit of adjusting and allowing them to relax. Backs of the hands are on the floor. My arms feel like they're really heavy. I'm just going to start by lifting just the back of my head and neck up, so that when we're putting our hand at the beginning of class in the nape of the neck, that area is in line with the rest of my shoulders. If you leave the tip of your nose touching the floor or your face resting on the floor, which I never understood how people can do that, but some people do, your head's going to be too far forward. So lift it up so that it's in line. Now think about those shoulders, just the front of your shoulders. If you've managed to get both sides to touch the mat, you might have done, you might not, that's absolutely fine, but lift them both up until they become level with the rest of your shoulders. So it's like you're opening out your collarbone. Imagine your collarbone is like a bendy pole. When your shoulder tips are touching the mat, you're in a rounded, curved position. When you lift them up, you're bending that pole into a straight line. You're straightening the edges out, so it's really nice and straight from side to side now. Just that, that's all I want for you to do. Allow the shoulders to round forwards and then lift them up. It's only the shoulder tips that you're moving. My arms aren't coming off the floor, my hands are heavy, my lower arms are heavy. It feels like I'm drawing a really heavy set of velvet curtains that are, what's the word? They've got black outlining, they've got lead weights in the bottom of them. I'm drawing them together towards the centre of the window, which is my spine. If that makes any sense at all. So your spine is where you're drawing the curtains, which are your shoulder blades, towards each other. I'm not pinching them together, I'm just drawing the curtains together to make them meet. Hold it there where those curtains are meeting. Now if you can, bring your arms out to the sides with your palms down. So your arms are at a right angle to your body. This is quite hard work, holding the shoulder tips in that position, and especially if you were doing that last exercise properly, this is quite strong. And then from here, lift the whole of your arm up and lower, just with your fingertips just touching the floor lightly. Lift the whole of the long lever of your arm. Nothing else is changing. I'm not lifting or lowering in my back. Those muscles that I was just using are shaking a little bit because this is really quite strong. Three or four more if you can. Try not to let that head drop forwards. Keep the back of the neck in line with the rest of your upper back. Holding those arms up, not too high, just a couple of inches off the floor, or maybe a little bit lower. And then bring them down, take them towards your feet, so you're in a low V. Holding that there, you could lift your back up a little bit more if you wanted to. So I'm now on my bottom 3 or 4 ribs at the front, keeping the chin tucked in. From there, just take circles inwards with your little fingers. Your palms are down, thumbs are rotated out. You've opened up the front of those shoulders, opened up the collarbone. You've got to push the pubic bone into the mat a little bit. Keep connected with that lower abdomen. Pull your belly button back towards your spine. Support your lower back. If it feels uncomfortable, you're probably not supporting it enough from the front. Few more if you can. Keep going in the same direction. Little finger inwards towards your body. Up and in. And then Brilliant. And now come up onto all fours. And let's just have a bit of a stretch out. So, hips back on the heels. Maybe arms nice and wide. Take a sway from side to side. Some sit bone circles. Tuck the pelvis under. Come all the way forwards. Arch the back to go back. Bend your arms. It doesn't have to be as big as I'm making it. It could be bigger, but equally you could keep your arms fairly straight. Reverse that movement. Go forwards, tuck under, stretch back. It's a really nice stretch out in your lower back. I'm going for a bigger whole body movement all the way through, all the way up. I'm going to curl my toes under and push into a downward dog. I'm going to bring my feet a little bit closer together. This really is your chance to just move around as much or not as you feel you would like to. Maybe walk through those feet. Maybe take that nice stretch we did last week where you had your feet together in the downward dog. You lift one leg up, you open up the hip, then you just drop the foot down, opening up the front of your hip and giving you a nice stretch at the side, swapping sides, lift the leg up. Hips on top of, stack your hips one on top of the other and then just bend the knee. And then whatever you feel like doing. In fact, I'm going to bring this knee in again, so that stretch we did last week. Knee to between my hands, take the foot across, slide the other leg back, roll over that hip. You could maybe come down onto your elbows, maybe stretch the arms forwards. Notice I'm moving, I'm always moving around in these stretches, and you never want to get stuck in them. And breathing all the way through as well, swapping your legs over, coming back into a sort of downward doggy, planky thingy, knee between the hands, get the foot out of the way, slide all the way back, much tighter on this side. So I don't just want to collapse on this side hip, I'd like to, but that's not really going to help anything, it's not really stretching anything, it's just me collapsing. So I'm going to keep my weight through my hands, maybe my elbows, and move it around a little bit. Adjusting the position of that foot will also make a difference. Play about with it, listen to your body, see how it feels. Don't be kind to yourself. You know, don't expect that you can always have the same amount of strength every single day. Sometimes we're a little bit more tired than others. That was a particularly hot one. Ooh. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much. I will be repeating